There he is.
Hey Todd, how are you, man?
What's going on, Mark? Thank you for doing this, buddy. Appreciate that.
No problem. Where are you at? Where are you?
I'm Van.
Are
Vancouver.
you?
Yeah, you're Vegas, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
I've been here now for a
Love that you're
minute.
flying the colors in the back there, Sault Ste. Marie. Like that's pretty
Yeah.
beauty, dude. Like what a career, man. Like I honestly, when you started following me months back, of course I immediately followed back because to see a Canadian kid like you just fucking storming, dude, it's so impressive, man, right? Like actor, NHL in arena host, WWE ring announcer. You did some time with top ranked boxing. Like it's, dude, your career is so impressive, man. Like how close, like what you do, how close is it to what you wanted to do as a kid, like as a teenager?
I don't know. Who knows? I just rolled with it. Uh, Sault Ste. Marie, right? I guess I wanted to, just like every other kid, I wanted to raise the Stanley Cup. That was the big thing. And my father bought the Greyhounds from Phil and Tony Esposito when we were young kids, and
Shut up. Seriously?
yeah. So in 1988, are we rolling? Are we going?
We're rolling, baby. We're rolling.
Wasn't sure. Yeah, so 1988, I don't even know how old I was in 12. It's Sunday morning here in Vegas. It's early.
Yeah.
Uh, the Esposito brothers were going to sell the Greyhounds to the CompuWare organization. And so my dad woke up one day and said, "Hey, look, Sault Ste. Marie has a steel mill and a hockey team. You can't take the Sioux Greyhounds out of Sault Ste. Marie. It's part of our identity." And so he got together with a group of guys and acquired the team. I remember we were on the street with buckets with signs that said "Save the Hounds." And it was right around the time that the loonie, the dollar coin, came out. And so we raised $250,000 from just the general public soliciting, funds for the saving of the Greyhounds. And my father was a dentist by trade, but quickly became president and owner operator of a junior hockey franchise. And, listen, we grew up in the Memorial Gardens. His dental practice was across the street. So after school, we'd walk across the street with him. He'd check up on things between patients. He'd be checking up on, day-to-day operations across the street. And it was pretty wild time. He hired Sherry Basson as a general manager, Ted Nolan as a head coach. Danny Flynn was an assistant coach. I think they won two or three Ontario Hockey League championships. They went to the Memorial Cup finals two or three times in a row and won one. So not long after acquiring the team, they became national champions. And I just wanted to do that. I just wanted to play the game. And so after that, that wasn't in the cards. It was figure something else out, finish school, and I got lucky. I moved to New York City and just started performing. I wanted to, pursue a Broadway career, and I got lucky with Broadway shows, and that's why I ended up in Vegas eventually. A show called Rock of Ages brought me here.
Yeah, dude, that I mean I've seen so many pictures of you and like D Schneider and all those guys. Like it's so
Yeah.
incredible. Like it must just be like sometimes like this is happening. Like I can't believe this is happening.
And I owe a lot to the city of Las Vegas. Pretty much everything right now that I'm doing is because of the move here to do that show. If it wasn't for Rock of Ages bringing my wife and I to Vegas, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I mean that wholeheartedly. Performing in Rock of Ages in Las Vegas as compared to doing the exact same role, the exact same show in New York City, just a different experience. This is the hospitality, entertainment, now sports capital of the world, right? So I'll be walking to the theater every night, park my car. By the time I got to my dressing room, I probably said hi to 30 or 40 employees of the Venetian Palazzo.
Right.
So we were this just awesome community of people who our job was to make our 40 million visitors forget about their problems for a little while, right? That's it. That's it. You'd come and visit Vegas for 3 days, go hard. Best shows, best restaurants, best sports, and rest is history. So that was my job. And I became very close with a lot of professional, folks on the strip. And it was a dream role because we'd be hooked up everywhere. People inviting us to dinner, come to the club, you're going to the bar after, right? It's on me. That doesn't happen in New York.
I heard it's becoming super expensive though in Vegas.
I think the media blows things out of proportion a little bit, but there are places that are incredibly expensive to frequent. That goes without saying, but it's not to the extent that the media is playing it up to be. Vegas is not dead. I was just out last night and people everywhere, too deep at tables. The
Yeah.
numbers, the returns for casinos are still good. So there are things that I think can seriously be improved upon, and you're seeing that now. Casinos are taking strides. They listen. People hear what they can be like. If you're a small business owner, you listen to your customers, right? And if there are complaints, you address them, try to fix them, and move on. And Vegas is constantly doing that, constantly changing, constantly evolving, reinventing itself, and it's the Disneyland for adults, man. There's no better place.
Yeah, yeah. So you went from wanting to raise the cup to you're moving to New York, you get to Vegas. Like, were you like an acting nerd in high school?
That's an awesome story. No, I had a very, very brief, and I always prerequisite with very brief stint in the Canadian Hockey League. I walked on to the Belleville Bulls because I really wanted to play in the league that my father was that had a team, and I didn't want any favors. I didn't want to play for my father's team, so I tried out for the Bulls. I was a third string goaltender, got sent down to the Wellington Dukes, played for Coburg Cougars, I think they were called. I was all over Southern Ontario chasing, and it just never panned out. And I look back at it, excuse me, I look back at it, and I was 17 years old, 18 years old, 19 years old, and I didn't have the maturity at that time to understand what I was actually pursuing, right? Like I knew what I wanted, but I think the maturity level wasn't there to really understand what you needed to make it go. And so, it wasn't in the cards. And that was a tough time. You call home and say, "Hey, I'm coming home. I'm not doing this anymore."
Mm,
Uh, at least it was tough for me. Your parents,
sure, yeah. It's got to be
your,
tough for anybody. So, like growing up in by the way, if people don't know, Mark is the youngest of five.
five, yeah.
What the hell was that like? Like growing up in Sault Ste. Marie, like what's this like? Like your brothers, sisters, like what do they do? How close are you guys?
We're all still incredibly close. I think I'm making up for it now because at that dining room table, I didn't get too many words in. So I guess I'm the talker of the family now, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
making up for lost time. But I an incredible family. Four boys, one girl. I'm the youngest. We pretty much all talk all the time. We get together all the time, weddings now, because everybody's older. My parents are in their 80s. My oldest brother is in his early 60s.
Oh,
He has kids. He's a grandfather. So, we're all creeping up in age. So we know that the only thing we're given is time, and so we spend it with each other as much as we can, or at least we communicate like just like this. Technology's made it easy to stay in touch.
yeah, it's pretty cool, hey? And what do they do?
They're all over the place. Real estate, finance,
Uh-huh.
uh, luxury clothing boutique, all over the place. Just all amazing entrepreneurs. I used to call myself the black sheep of the family because I'm the one who went into entertainment. But you get to a certain point in entertainment where you're still doing it, and then you're no longer the black sheep because cool opportunities, tend to cross your desk. And we're having this conversation because I've had some pretty cool opportunities as of late, and it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, you sure have. Yeah. And so like how old were you think when you started taking acting like
I moved to New
seriously?
York City when I was 19 years old.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I,
And
I moved right to New York as a 19-year-old, and that's a perfect example of how amazing my parents were, right? To support that kind of just choice. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna leave Sault Ste. Marie and go to New York City." So that's a family for you. That's like, all right, let's go give it a whirl.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. And so like think back to when you're maybe not necessarily like a kid, but like in your teens, were there specific shows or like movies or actors and actresses and stuff that kind of influenced you or no?
Yeah, I was a big Michael J. Fox fan as a kid, just simply because of his story and, fellow Canadian.
Mm,
Uh, I I didn't really, you know, get influenced by actors to become an actor. I was always this goofy dude. I was a goalie. Goalies are weird. And I thought I was always entertaining. I was always sort of the life of the party, always being told to shut up on the bus. And so I knew there was something there, and I just needed to find out if it was something that was tangible and that I could make a go of it. And so, when I moved to New York, I didn't really know NYU or Juilliard or Carnegie Mellon or these incredible Yale. Growing up in Sault Ste. Marie, we didn't at that time you didn't know about these amazing educational institutions. And
yeah.
so I just sort of surrounded myself with people that I thought knew what they were talking about, and I trusted them, and I just tried to surround myself with the best of the best in New York City, and it was an awesome time. I was 19 and I moved in 96, and I was there for almost a decade, and just surrounded myself with really cool people, and studied with the best possible teachers I could, and I just got lucky. Part of the business is getting lucky, but also understanding that when that audition shows up or that opportunity presents itself, you need to be ready. You need to be prepared. And the stories that we hear people is getting off a bus and turning it into overnight sensations are so far between. People work their lives just to have that break, right? And
Mhm,
I
mhm.
think I didn't really have a break per se. In Broadway, you just prove to casting directors that you can do 8 shows a week, that you have the ability to sing at the top of your lungs 8 shows a week and not suck. Uh, and when those opportunities show up, just make sure you're ready to go.
I love it. And so when you find time, fairly busy guy by the schedule, I would think that when you find time, what are you binge watching lately?
Oh man, everything and anything. I just got caught up on Squid Games. Uh, I was big into Westworld. I don't know if people still watch that, but I just got caught up on Westworld not too long ago. I actually don't watch a lot of television. Unfortunately, when my wife and I get downtime, it's usually turning on old shows like Forensic Files or
Oh,
the
okay.
or the first 48. That narrator puts us to sleep, so we're with our dogs, and by episode 2, we're ready for bed. So that's it. I guess we're just old, brother.
Yeah.
We're just
No, I tell you, it doesn't surprise me, man, that you don't watch much TV. Like your life must be crazy. So as an in-game host for the Vegas Knights, like let's talk little hockey. Like what did you make of the off season? Were there trades or acquisitions that surprised you?
well. Listen, we acquired Mitch Marner, so I think it was the talk of the off season is that Marner left Toronto to come to Vegas, and I've had the privilege of watching them now a little bit in the preseason, and it's just going to be wild to see this team sort of find its stride. They're definitely built to win, and we'll see what happens, right? With being built to win carries that pressure, but as somebody who cheered for the Toronto Maple Leafs as a kid, the pressure here is not like the pressure back in
No,
Ontario.
it's not
So
even remotely the same. No.
no, not even close. And so I think that there will be less distraction, less press attention that he's accustomed to. And also, too, it's just a wonderful place to be and live. And I think he and his family are going to have a wonderful time here. They're already embraced. I think, regardless of the industry that you work in, when you come to Vegas, and we started the conversation like this, the people here are what make it pretty special.
Yeah, I
So
mean the kid's a
I
stud. Like, and he doesn't matter where. Like Vegas is a great place to play hockey, but like
yeah.
he could literally play anywhere and be a
Yeah,
stud.
it's just a great place, and I think he understood that, his team understood that look, we're ready to we want to compete every year.
Yeah.
I think we have an owner and a operations group that just understand, look, we want to be in the mix every year, and come on, man, like we're playing hockey in the desert. Nobody said it would work. I was sitting in my Rock of Ages dressing room. I guess it's now almost 10 years before we had a team. It's 7:45 at night. I'm in my costume, getting ready to go on stage at 8 o'clock, and our owner goes on the news and says, I think I want to bring a pro hockey team to Vegas. And I'm just sitting in my dressing room going, this guy's nuts, but I'm calling him tomorrow. And that's just how it happened. I'm a goofy dude. I was thinking outside the box and I literally cold called Fidelity Financial. And I said, my name is Mark. I work on the strip as an actor. My father owned a junior franchise when I was a kid. How can I help you? And the rest is history. I joined a campaign called Vegas Wants Hockey. And our job was to call you and be like, yo, I need $1,000. It's for a team that doesn't exist yet, but don't worry, it's refundable. And don't forget, at that time, we didn't have a single pro sports team here. We had a minor league baseball team, I think, and we had hockey at one point, but at that point, I think they had dissolved. So there wasn't really anything of this level. We
Mm,
sold 14,000 season ticket deposits. They were already building our arena, which is now called T-Mobile Arena. And that's it. They got awarded a franchise. I thought my time was done. As a fan, I bought season tickets. I was like, well, I'm going to support this campaign. I bought tickets.
mm.
And then I got a call saying, hey, would you be interested in joining us as a host? I don't even know what that meant at the time. I'd never hosted anything other than some fundraisers.
Yeah.
And I said, all right. So they handed me a microphone, and I've been with the franchise ever since. And you see the picture over my shoulder on this side. I did get to raise a Stanley Cup. It just wasn't as a player. And the minute I got the email saying, "Hey, please click the link to be fitted for a ring," is when it really set in, and I knew we were a part of something special. My father was here for Game 5.
Wow.
Two of my older brothers, and it was just awesome. It's a moment that I'll never forget. And to be honest, I think George McPhee said it best. I ran into him in the hallway in the office a couple weeks later, and I said, "How do you feel?" And he was like, I feel like I'm part of a club that nobody can ever kick me out of now." And that's it. That's the truth. My father's last name is on a ring. When I got the ring, it was in a FedEx box and sent back to Sault Ste. Marie very quickly. There aren't many people, from what I understand, who have a Memorial Cup national championship ring and a Stanley Cup ring with their names on it. So it was cool to let my dad have that for a little while, and it's back in my possession now. But I think he had it for a couple of years after we won it all.
Dude, that's such a great story. Like literally when you said I raised, like the hair started to stand up for you.
Yeah, and listen, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. I was on the ice doing interviews with players and coaches and whoever I could get my hands on, right? And our interviews weren't broadcast to television. It was just done on the screens in the building in real time, so the fans could get a sense of what was happening. And producer in my ear said, "Hey man, you're wrapped." And I was like, "Cool." So I, just pull out my earpiece and I'm standing around watching moms and dads and wives and kids and coaches and trainers. And then all of a sudden I just heard my name. They're like, "Chinook, it's your turn." And I turned around and they handed me the Stanley Cup, 33 and a half pounds, I think. And I
Yeah.
don't know what happened to my microphone to this day. I probably just tossed it. Somebody gave it back to me later on that night, but I was like, okay. And I've got that video and picture saved on my phone, and it's on the wall. It's right there. So as a kid from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, there's no better place than where I'm at right now. It's a pretty cool ride. I don't take anything for granted and just try to walk in, do my job, and leave it better than the way I found it.
Freaking love it, man. Do you think that McDavid, by the way, will sign with the Oilers again? And if so, is it like 25 million based on Kaprizov's 17 million? Like, what's going on with the salaries in the NHL?
Well, listen, I'm a hockey purist, right? It's about time. That's how I feel about it. I know people are going to bitch, but I'm like, when you look at other pro sports and what other pro athletes are making, hockey's at the bottom of the barrel, and there aren't better people on the planet. Hockey players are a special breed. They're really nice guys. They're not dicks.
Yeah,
So I'm all for it, and it's a long season, it's physical, it's demanding. And I hope he stays there. I think as a Canadian and as somebody who loves the Edmonton Oilers as well, what an iconic franchise. Like I got Grant Fuhr up there on my wall behind me too. So uh, I
so
hope
cool. Grant Fuhr, by the way, has been on this podcast, and he's like
he's a rock star. He's
amazing,
he's
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he spends a lot of time in Vegas. He's been in my venue. He helped us with some fundraisers. And yeah, I hope McDavid stays there. He's the greatest player on the planet. And I think it'd be great for Canada. It'd be a shot to the heart if he left. But if he left, I don't think anybody's gonna, be upset or too torn. It's listen, you play the game to win, right? Everybody wants to win the Stanley Cup, and you got to have an organization that understands you have the greatest player in the world, and you need to surround him with people who can help him win. This isn't gymnastics. You're
Mhm.
not going on the floor by yourself. You're on the ice with five other guys. So those guys need to step up as well, and I think they'll have some tough decisions to make. Joe Thornton is a perfect example, right? One of the greatest players to ever lace him up. And he chased it too. Didn't happen. And if it happens with McDavid like that, it happens with McDavid. That's just part of the game. But I would love for him to stay in Edmonton, to answer your question. That was a long answer for that question. I would love him to stay there, but everything's wide open now. And he knows that. His team knows that. The Oilers know that. And more importantly, every other team in the league now knows it. So
Yeah.
shopping. People are going to be shopping.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting next few
I,
months for sure. Yeah.
I'd love to be a fly on some of those phone calls that come into to his agent. That'd be awesome.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, how old are you?
I'll be 49 next year.
Okay, so I got you by a few years. So which WWE superstars were big in your world as a kid?
Well, with the goat, well, the goat. Everybody's called the goat now, I guess. But I was a big Hulk Hogan fan.
When it comes crashing down and it hurts
And what
inside.
he did,
Da,
what
da,
he did
da.
for wrestling in a time when we didn't have phones or internet, right? Like he became a global sensation without massive technology. So I think that's one of the things we sort of forget is that he was just an icon globally, not just in Canada or the United States. Like the world knew who Hulk Hogan was.
Yeah,
And he literally changed pro wrestling. But I got to say my experience was is just special. I got a call out of the blue based on my work with Top Rank Boxing and ESPN when they had an opening, and uh, I'm learning every day. It's a world that was foreign to me, the back end of it, right? I watched just like everybody else. Jimmy Superfly Snuka was my guy. I loved him. The British Bulldogs, how can you not? So listen, I was a family. I got a oh yeah, here I got a little Mean Gene figure from back
Mean
in the
Gene
day.
Okerlund Nights.
A friend of mine sent that to me after I got the job. They felt like they said this shouldn't be on my shelf anymore. It should be on yours. And I was like, oh, that's funny. Um,
That's
yeah,
great. I always try to get like WWE stars. Like I've had Jake the Snake was a great interview.
yeah,
Uh, Hillbilly Jim was a really
yeah,
interesting conversation. Like,
yeah.
yeah, pretty cool.
Hacksaw, like King Kong
Duggan,
Bundy,
yes,
Andre the Giant, like these guys just made you want to turn it on.
sure,
And that's it. That's everything, right? When you think about it, like what I said that for the first time. I'm like, they made you want to turn it on and watch. It was because of them. It wasn't the cool graphics or anything like that we have now. It was these just over the top, amazing personalities who were just incredible at their job. And that's why you wanted to watch TV.
sure.
So it's
Just
cool.
incredible athletes, and like the entertainment value was just peaked. I
It
mean,
was awesome.
it's
Still
really,
is.
yeah. And the funny thing is like people say like, oh no, wrestling's, it's fake, and it's like, well, go watch it and in real life and tell me otherwise. Like,
They're some of the best athletes on the planet.
yeah, yeah.
You-
And
I
you
could, I
you
could
must have loved working with your time at the top ranked boxing. Like,
Yeah, that happened fast. Again, Vegas. It's just you never know who's in the building, right? And that's one of the things that my parents taught me early, and a lot of the coaches and teachers that I had in New York was you never know who's going to be watching you do something, right? So you might be discouraged and I was there. You're doing a play in a restaurant storefront with no lights and no set, but you never know who might watch you do that performance, right? And so literally 3 weeks into season one, you can't make this up. Season one, 3 weeks into the Golden Knights season, I get a call from CAA Sports, and it was like, "Hey man, Top Rank Boxing is based in Las Vegas. They saw you at a hockey game. Are you interested in working in boxing?" Of course I am. So I joined Top Rank Boxing on ESPN, and I was there for 7 years.
Wow.
The Raiders moved to town a few years later. I was privileged enough to work with the Raiders for 2 seasons. I worked directly for the National Hockey League for, I think, 5 or 6 years. I worked for the NFL a couple times for their premier events when we had the draft here, things of that nature. But Top Rank and ESPN gave me the opportunity to discover a part of hosting and ring announcing that I would never have had. So again, every job leads to another job, and I think you can say that in regards to any field. But they definitely gave me the platform and the opportunity to develop, learn, and grow. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for the incredible people on the ESPN boxing side and the incredible production team at Top Rank. And they were weeks that I really longed for. I was blessed to be able to host their press conferences, their weigh-ins, and then do all the ring announcing. And so I was on the road for 4 or 5 days when we would have a fight. And you see the term on social media a lot. It's fight week, right? And it's that Monday before that Saturday night fight.
Yeah.
And that fight week truly is a special week in boxing. Everybody's coming to town. Usually we take over a hotel and all the camps are there, the fighters, their trainers, their families, their girlfriends, whatever. And it's just this awesome week of energy leading up to Saturday night scraps. And it was really a special time for me. I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss it because I do. I miss it.
Mm,
Not so much the workload, but the just the camaraderie, the journey that we go on together. That fight week is something that's very special, very unique to boxing.
mhm, mhm. And what's your take on Jake Paul's rise, his matches, and like a lot of people think that all of his fights are fixed.
I think he's one of the smartest people in sports right now. That's I really feel that way. Listen, he's doing it his way. And there's a great song that we all know and love. And so I have nothing but mad respect for him and what he's doing. I don't know if it's fake or not. It doesn't look fake to me. They they choose to wear certain gloves and it's sanctioned, so it's legit. The commissions aren't putting their names on something if they're not going at it. And like I said, it's great for the sport. People who are watching those fights may not have ever have watched a boxing match in their entire lives. So how is that a bad thing for the sport?
Yeah, fair enough. Like you mix in like MMA, like do you watch MMA? Like you watch UFC?
I try to watch as much of every sport as I possibly can. Like I think like most dudes, we get home, we turn on ESPN or TSN back home, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
our go-to when we get home. And I try to stay versed in pretty much everything that's going on. And being in the United States now for over 20 plus years, college athletics here is massive, right? Unlike in Canada, the college sports programs here are insane, and it's just an awesome time for sports across the board.
Mhm. Can you fight as well, or are you just more of a fan?
I'm not fighting, bro. What do I look? Come on. Nobody's touching this. This is the money maker over here. Leave me alone.
All right, Mark, let's get outside of acting and hosting and what you're known for. Curious about the music in your house as a kid growing up here in Canada and Sault Ste. Marie. Like, what were your parents playing?
We had everything, dude. We had everything from like the traditional Canadian Anne Murray to but also don't forget we were talking about I'm the youngest of five, and all four of my older siblings had very distinct music tastes. So I think that's why my music is all over. If you said to me, what do you listen to on the day in and day out, I don't listen to one specific genre of music. Like I had a brother that was into heavy, I had a brother that was into classical. music, not classic rock, classical music. And
Mm.
my parents were big into the people that were big at the time. Frank Sinatra, Neil Diamond, like I said, Anne Murray. I'm dropping the Canadian Anne Murray on an interview. I never thought I'd say that ever, but there it is. So music wise was just sort of this big cross section of everything. And as family, my mother was from Windsor, Ontario. And so we would drive from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, south down I-75 to get to Windsor every summer. And we used to go to Old Tiger Stadium, Sparky and Kirk, and Old Joe Louis Arena. And then we'd go through the tunnel into Windsor to see my mom's family. We had a huge brown wooden panel station wagon, think Chevy Chase station wagon. That's what we had. And
Yeah.
all seven of us would pile in that thing. And I was always in that tricked out bench seat that looked the wrong direction. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he would be going this way and I'd be looking that way. And I'm to this day, I think that's why I get car sick. If I'm not driving, it's because I was,
Guaranteed. That's why you
yeah,
get car sick, bro. Yeah.
yeah. And they would literally leave. It was probably not very safe, but there's seven people in a car. So think of the luggage, right? And so they would literally leave a section in that back bench seat that was like this, but just enough for the seatbelt. And I'm looking the wrong way. If you didn't look twice, you wouldn't know that there was a kid in that back. They just a bunch of bags and luggage, and then me. So I think that's why I don't need a lot of space. I like small things now, even in my adult life with my house. And I don't need a lot of things. I need a little space, and you can stack shit around me. I'll feel safe. It's my safe space.
That's great. And so growing up in a family like that where there's, five kids and obviously mom and dad and stuff, like did you guys make it to concerts very often? Like what was the first concert that you went to as a family?
Well, don't forget we grew up in Sault Ste. Marie, so concerts coming to Sault Ste. Marie at that time were, few and far between. And I have an awesome story about a concert coming to the Sioux that I'll tell you. But we used to drive into Michigan, right? Like Pontiac Silverdome was big, Charlevoix, Michigan, the Castle, I think they called it in Charlevoix.
Oh, okay.
Uh, but this is an awesome story. I came home one night and I was maybe. I might have been 10 or 11 years old, and I remember going down into my basement, and there's these four or five guys with just long hair, all crashed out on couches and sleeping bags, and they weren't my siblings. And I went upstairs, I asked my brother, I said, "Who are those guys?" And my brother said, "That's the band Sheriff." I said, "What?" They said, "Yeah, it was a Canadian rock band." And my dad thought he would dabble in producing concerts. And so he and some guys produced Sheriff at the Memorial Gardens. And to this day in our home, we have the LP from the 80s that they signed. And their one mega hit that went, crazy. Yeah, anyway, Sheriff was in my basement. That's my dad's doing.
That's great, dude.
Crazy story.
Amazing. Um, are you a fan of all the superhero movies?
As much as I can be, I think I remember when there was like one a year. Now it seems as though there's multiple and I can't keep up.
It's tough
So
to keep up. Yeah.
yeah, but what's
Even as a
awesome is
comic
this,
book nerd, it's like, okay, come on, guys, settle down.
even the streaming platforms make it easy though, because you can watch them in the right order.
Yeah.
And my wife likes to do that. So she'll be like, "Hey, let's watch this show or this movie." And I'm like, "All right, cool." And we'll go on to, whatever Hulu, Netflix, Paramount, all of them. And you can see them all there. Even on Disney Plus, they put them in the order, right? So that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
So are you a Marvel guy or DC? Do you care?
I don't even know. I just, I couldn't tell you, and I guess that's pretty embarrassing to admit. I don't know which one's Marvel, which one's DC.
Not-
I support them all. I support them all.
Yeah, yeah. Mark, hit us with a time where you could have died. I want a near death story out of you.
No near death stories, dude.
Really?
Yeah, well, I jumped out of a plane once just because, but I guess I could have died there. But I've never had a moment where I'm like, oh my God, haven't had one. And let's knock on wood that I never
Dude,
do.
I'm knocking wood for you here. Okay,
Yeah,
so
no, for a birthday party for my wife's uncle, we jumped out of airplanes and we, what do you tandem, jump, and that was about it.
yeah. Yeah, well, that could be dicey, I guess, too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so some rapid fire questions, Mark Shunock. Let's do this. So this or that. Pizza or burgers?
Pizza.
What do you like on your pizza?
Pepperoni and mushroom. Extra mushrooms.
Had a kid. Early bird or night owl?
Lately, early bird when I was acting, night owl because we wouldn't get off stage till midnight, wouldn't fall asleep till 2. But right now my days are primarily normal, so early bird.
Okay, where do you get most work done?
Standing right where I am right now. I have a desk that I stand at and this is it.
Yeah. Netflix or Disney?
Netflix.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs. Come on.
Do you have a
Dog.
dog?
3.
Oh, do you? Okay, so what kind of dogs you have?
I have a Doberman, a
Nice.
Chihuahua, and a Doodle.
Wow, and how do they like? Who's the alpha of that
That's
mix of
our,
dogs?
our little 11-pound Chihuahua. She's 12 years old.
That's
And
awesome.
we have a 7 or 8 year old Doberman. And then I when doodles were all the craze, we got Marty, named after Marty McFly, and he's this mini doodle, and he's for the Golden Knights, he's a golden doodle. Two of the three are rescues. So if the listeners are all mad, then went out and bought it. Two of the three are rescues.
Yeah,
Prior to these three, we had two Labrador retrievers, a yellow and a black. So Cheryl and I, our home is always filled with dogs. It'll always be that way. We're just big dog people.
yeah. Comedy or action?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna go with comedy.
Can you pick a favorite movie of comedy?
Anchorman.
Nice. Star Wars or Star Trek?
I'm Star Wars. My wife is Star Trek diehard. Her goal in life is just to be painted green and make out with William Shatner.
Love it. Okay,
Yeah.
name three things, three movies that changed your life.
E.T., The Shawshank Redemption, and mm, I would say Parasite as of late.
Okay, E.T. was one of the first movies I remember crying watching a movie.
Yeah, I'm a big ET fan. I've got a bunch of collectibles from the movie, and just it was just an awesome movie.
Yeah,
Just an
I mean,
I,
I didn't travel down the acting road like you did, but I played E.T. as a kid in grade five play in
as you do. When
elementary
we
school.
had the 40th anniversary, they re-released the BMX bikes, and my wife bought me one. It's on the wall in the garage.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Three celebrities you'd want at your dinner party.
Keanu Reeves, uh, Michael J. Fox, Meryl Streep.
Interesting conversations. Three
Yeah.
things you need on a deserted island.
Three things. My wife, my dogs, and a cell phone.
Like well thought out answer. I love that shit.
Yeah, that's listen, dude. I don't need much in life. Access to my family.
Yeah,
So yeah, my dogs to make sure I'm not stressed out, and my wife, who's always been by my side.
yeah. I'm a simple man. Would you rather speak all languages or be able to talk to animals?
I'd talk to animals in a heartbeat.
I know,
Yeah,
right? Like, how could
yeah,
you say languages when that's the option?
yeah.
Would you rather know when you die or how you die?
Probably when. Yeah, I think when, so that you can do what you want to do before you kick it.
Yeah. Would you rather give up social media or streaming platforms like Disney or Hulu or whatever?
Social media.
Not a fan?
No, because of my age, I know what life was like before it, right? And it was great. We
Yeah,
gathered as a family, we watched the news for 30 minutes, and then the TVs turned off and they played the national anthem.
right.
I,
And they
I,
played one anthem because that's the way hockey should be played. Do you smoke weed, by the way?
no,
No, because I was going to say, like, would you rather give up coffee or weed? But let me see here. Would you rather give up coffee or tea?
I'm a coffee drinker, so I guess I can say I'd have to give up coffee. That's every morning, iced coffees.
Yeah,
It's just the sunshine out in the backyard, nothing better.
yeah. Mark, I'm going to wrap it up here in a few minutes. I just want to do a few more things with you. I want you to finish the sentence.
Okay.
On Sunday morning, I.
Sit in the backyard with my dogs and an iced coffee.
My biggest fear is,
Uh, Getting sick.
yeah, we're starting to get to that age of like shit could go sideways.
Yeah, health is wealth, man.
Careful of your health. If I could be any superhero, I would be,
Oh, I like this one. Batman. You fly in, you help people, and you get out.
yeah, he's a regular dude that just kicks ass. I know I'm getting old because,
The screen I'm looking at right now is blurry.
all right, two more questions. Who's the most famous person that you've met?
Oh man, I met a lot of people.
I know, that's why. Like, I'm super curious.
Oh, that's a great question. Who was I most sort of starstruck by? I can twist the question a little bit because, I meet a lot of people and I don't get starstruck. But because he was sort of my reason for entering the acting world was meeting Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
He's royalty in my book, right? And I have all of his books, so you feel like you know him a little bit when celebrities and artists write their own biographies. And I'm proud of that guy. I'm so glad he's a Canuck and he's just a good dude. And I met him briefly at a Vegas Golden Knights hockey game. And I cranked the siren for him. So some of your listeners know every hockey game we have a rally siren, and celebrities get up with us at the castle and they crank the siren and get the party started. And we brought him up to the castle, and obviously he wasn't physically able to crank the siren, so I did it for him. And I think that's something that I'll never forget.
No, dude, so cool. And so what's his best stuff? Like, is it Back to the Future or what is Michael J. Fox's best material?
I think what he's doing now,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, one of the big things as we get older is we look at ourselves in the mirror, and you as a human being have to define yourself, right? And who are you? What defines you? And that's something that I work on every day. Um, and I think what he's doing to better the world and try and cure Parkinson's is his best stuff. He is just an advocate for making the world a better place. And I think that's his best stuff. Will we always be able to watch his movies and Teen Wolf out? Absolutely. But
That's great.
yeah, I listen, I dressed up as Teen Wolf on Halloween. I can't tell you how many times.
Yeah, that's great. Mark, thank you again, man, for doing this. I'm going to ask you a tricky one. It could be the easiest, it could be the toughest. I think it's going to be tough for you to answer. So I want you to nail it down to one career highlight, just one.
Well, I think right now, if there's anything I could share with your listeners, it's what we're working on to leave Vegas better. Aligning with how I just talked about Michael J. Fox. We're raising 50 million bucks right now locally to build a brand new mental health wellness community center, a block off the strip for anybody who works in hospitality, entertainment, first responders, veterans, teachers, construction workers, public education students. For 12 years in Vegas, my wife and I have run a nonprofit called Monday's Dark. The name comes from the fact that Broadway is traditionally dark on Monday. So I throw a party on Monday night and we give all the money away to a cause. We've been doing it for 12 years. We've raised millions of dollars. So, to answer your question specifically, when the city of Las Vegas, Clark County, who governs our city, said, hey, you can have that corner a block off the strip, they gave it to our nonprofit to develop a community center to help people. That's pretty special to be recognized like that. Say, hey, Mark, we want you to champion this for us. So I have 2 years ahead of me to build a facility to leave Las Vegas better than the way I found it in a way that I never thought imaginable. I moved to Vegas as a Broadway actor 13 years ago. 13 years ago, 1 week ago, I was slinging drinks behind a bar chasing an acting career. So that's how special Vegas is to me. I got the call and they said, "Hey, you're going to go do Rock of Ages in Vegas." And I thought, I'll do 6 months. I'll do a year and then on to the next gig. This city just roped me in. And it's not because of, I say this a lot. We have the best restaurants, the best resorts, the best shows, the best sports teams. But what make those things the best are the people that live here, because somebody's got to run them, right? And we have a very special community, and my wife and I are championing a $50 million community center. So if you're on my social, you can see me. That's pretty much all I talk about. I'll post a picture with a superstar or a hockey player every now and then, just doing my gigs. But my passion is this now, and it's taken over my life, and it will for the next 2 years. I hope to make it come to fruition. I need a lot of financial help. We're going to raise a lot of money and get a lot of people involved. So that's my career highlight right now, because I know my career is going to continue on. I'm going to be able to host things and act in movies and do a bunch of stuff, but that all means nothing if we don't leave it better than the way we found it. And I mean that seriously. And I think you get it. You're Canadian. We're good people. So that's
Dude, I
it.
absolutely love that answer, man. I was not expecting that. I absolutely love it. And it's, yeah, partially because of you're a good Canadian kid. That's
Yeah,
what.
listen, look what's behind me, right? I've got a Stanley Cup picture. I got a John Cena picture. I got kids in Riyadh asking me for autographs. This photo is from 9/11 when I was living in New York City. Those are beer cans on the ground zero. My first two dogs with my wife. That's my entire family in Windsor, Canada, and Sault Ste. Like those are my highlights. But you know, I, my parents are just incredible human beings, and they spent their entire lives, and they still do to this day, helping people, making sure that everybody has enough. And I think if we just all sort of took a deep breath and looked at life a little simpler, I think of back to my little station wagon cubby. I don't need a lot, and I just think if we all sort of took a deep breath and listened more than we spoke, I think the world would be a little bit better.
You're a good man. Thank you for doing this. You are at Mark Shunock on Instagram. Is where you're most active, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Instagram is you'll get me too. I put eyes on that. I know I have a page on Facebook, but I don't handle that at all. I'm on X too a little bit, so I put most of my eyes on the Instagram page just because I like to look at shit, and I'm just like everybody
I'm
else.
the same way.
Yeah, I like to scroll and see what's going on, and
Totally right.
I can stay in touch with family and friends that way as well.
Yeah. Right on. Thanks again, Mark. We'll tag you when you're trucking this stuff around, and appreciate it, man. Fantastic career, and really nice to talk to you and connect. We'll chat soon.
Yeah, I can't wait to come up and visit you. I'll make sure I let you know when I'm in the Vancouver area because it's been a minute, and my wife and I keep talking about it. We're overdue.
Yeah, sounds good, buddy. Okay, well, enjoy the rest of the day. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks again.